pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. To confirm that we have a legal meeting with quorum, may we have roll call, please?
Sure. Chairman Suggs.
Present.
Chairman Johnson. Sure. Mr. Johnson. Present. All right. Dr. Woods.
Present.
Let me look at and Dr. Vanessa Allen McLeod.
Present.
We have all board members present. I'm present as well.
With 5 board members present, we have quorum and a legal meeting. I'd like to go to item number 2 on our agenda, the approval of tonight's agenda for July 10th. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
And I second, Mr.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda has been approved. Item number 3 on our agenda, Gary Ready Snapshot and Summer Activities. Item 3.1. Ms. Chess.
Chelsea.
Thank you.
You're trying to be like me.
I get that today.
No worries. Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Stokes, this amazing community, and those of you who are viewing virtually via Facebook and listening via WGBE 88.7, the voice of education. My name is Chelsea Whittington, and I proudly serve as the Chief of Public and Community Relations for your Gary Community School Corporation. It's that time again, Gary Snapshots. This is our opportunity when we are able to share activities and accomplishments happening across the district and exciting things to come. Shall we begin? First and foremost, a hearty congratulations to all of our scholars and school community members who participated in the recent City of Gary Independence Day Parade on July 3rd. As you can see, our band was in attendance along with the cheerleaders, and we were also so happy to welcome for the first time, WOW, which stands for Williams on Wheels. If you recall, at the start of the school year, we received coverage out of Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana, where our students who fly to school, practice safety, and get their exercise in on their way to their teaching and learning experience. We thank everybody for their participation. Did you hear about the family movie night? On a few Mondays ago, we were pleased to host more than 100 community members on the field of Westside Leadership Academy as we watched the animated movie Man Dog. We took that opportunity to bring families together. They brought their chairs and blankets and camped out right on the 50-yard line and in the end zone to watch a movie, enjoy the food trucks, and our partners from the Gary Public Library had their Techmobile on site so that students could tour the Techmobile prior to the start of the movie. But most important, we were enrolling children to the district. So we want to thank all of the families that came out. A special thanks to Crystal O'Brien, who spearheaded this illustrious program, and our partnership with the City of Gary, who also provided some funds and resources in their support in promotion to ensure the success of this program. And it was also broadcast on ABC7, which led to some Chicago families crossing the state line to join us and find out all of the amazing things we offer here in the Gary schools. A round of applause for Ms. O'Brien and her team. Can't do it without you. And now, I invite you to feast your eyes on our enrollment commercial. It has been launched a few weeks ago, but we wanted to make sure we used our school board meeting as an opportunity to share with the community the messaging that we are pushing forward, which is couched under the theme, Strong Roots, Bright Future.
Planting the seed for a thriving future starts now. Gary Community School Corporation is here to foster their growth, and we have history to show for it. For over 100 years, Gary Schools has been committed to coming alongside each and every student and encouraging them to be their authentic selves, equipping and empowering the next generation of change makers, knowledge seekers, and community builders. We desire to give your child every opportunity to learn, to create, and to thrive. Gary Schools, strong roots, bright future.
Please watch this next video of something else exciting coming up.
Get ready for a big adventure. Touch a Truck is coming soon. This interactive event lets kids and kids at heart get up close and personal with the trucks, equipment, and vehicles that keep our community moving. Bring the whole family and get ready to climb aboard.
So that refers to our next community engagement event, which we are very big on. Community engagement, yes, we like to enroll, but we want to engage our families so that they know their experience with us every time will be positive, and sometimes it's gonna be fun. The field day takes place, Family Field Day takes place on Saturday, July 19th, and one of the special features in addition to the Touch a Truck is the Dad Grill Competition. That's right. End of our school community, we'll be lighting up the grills, and we have celebrity guests, including possibly our own superintendent, to do a little tasting, although she's probably going to say they're all winners. But we want the community to come out from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. here at Westside Leadership Academy. That's 900 Jerry Street. Bring the children, and you already know our enrollment team will be there to ensure that we have all the materials there to enroll your children. We had originally asked our school board member, Counselor Attorney Irving, to join us. We know you have other commitments, but thank you for your response, and we know you send your support. Hopefully you'll send us a sub as a judge for that day. But please mark your calendars, and we have flyers over there for you to take with you to share with the community on your way out. Next up, our partnerships with the City of Gary continue. First Lady Crystal Melton presents her second annual Back to School Festival. The Gary Community School Corporation will be involved in a variety of ways. It takes place on Saturday, August 2nd from 9 a.m. to noon at the Gary Railcat Stadium. In addition to our enrollment team being on site, we'll also be there with our human resources, our band, and representatives from our various schools through our FACE Liaisons, which stands for Family and Community Engagement Liaisons. We want the children and the parents and guardians to get their first experience and touch point of who will be caring for them and their contact individuals who are in the buildings. So come on out, there'll be free haircuts, school supplies, screenings by our health providers throughout the community, and lots of fun. And you'll get a chance to see the team from the Gary Community School Corporation. Thank you, Mr. Suggs. This concludes my report. If there aren't any questions, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Whittington. Any questions from the board? Thank you.
And by the way, you're hired.
Item number 4 on our agenda, public comments. Mr. Johnson, would you read 4.1?
Pursuant to Indiana Code 5-14-1.5-3, the Gary Community School Corporation Board of Trustees welcomes comments from the community. As a result, the agenda for each regular meeting provides time for public expression. The period of public expression is limited to 3 minutes per individual and 30 minutes total discussion of items on the agenda or to express concerns relative to the operation of the school city, school board actions, and other items of general educational interest. If there are many people wishing to address the board, we may limit the amount of time a person may speak. Comments should be directed to the board, not to individual board members. Statements shall not be abusive or argumentative. Persons making comments shall not debate statements made by others. It shall not be permissible to orally present or discuss complaints against individual employees of the Gary Community School Corporation at any board school trustees meetings. Issues related to personnel, individual circumstances, or an individual school will be referred to the building principal or an appropriate administrator in an attempt to resolve the issue prior to an appeal before the board. The speaker cannot transfer your remaining time to another person. The board president will enforce these rules and may take actions necessary to maintain order at the meeting. Such actions may include, but are not limited to, interrupting the speaker if the statement is too lengthy, unduly repetitive, or otherwise violates the rules. The president may terminate the address of any speaker who violates these rules, or limit the total amount of time devoted to public comments if there's a large number of people wishing to address the board, or if there's a large agenda of other business before the board.
Thank you, sir. R. Bugs.
Good evening, Dr. Stokes and the board, listening audience. First thing I want to say is that I submitted a written complaint requesting a hearing to Mr. Suggs, president of the board. I didn't know whether he had gotten it or not, so I gave him a copy today. This is my fourth request. So I'd just like to know if the board is going to grant the hearing or not grant the hearing. Because I did it correctly, per in that statute, filed a written complaint about one of the appointees. The other thing is, the board has 3 appointees to the library board, but no one has come to give a report. And I'd like to know, why don't you have somebody come and report to the public what's going on at the library? And the other thing is, I'm in a play tomorrow of culture. It's gonna be at the Glen Theater. There's no tickets, ticketless, but if somebody would like to attend this evening, the tickets are $20, I think $35 for VIP. And, thank you very much.
What time? What time?
L. Tyndall.
Unavailable for some time, not for the most recent graduating class, but the class prior to that. And it's beautiful and rich in color, but there are grammatical errors. And that raises a concern for me because we are an institution of learning. So I would expect better. As for the yearbook for the most recent graduates, my understanding is that it still is not available and will not be available until the 15th of July. Other concerns. Last evening I was in a meeting and our superintendent was made aware of a poorly manicured area at 15th and Harrison. This is the place where the Norton School, I believe, was present and recently demolished. And when I rode by this morning, the overpopulated growth had been removed. That warrants applause, yes. I think so too. Number 3, where's the pool for our school? Where's the field house for our school? And when I was at Mark Spencer's auditorium for the Caesar concert, there's something forming in the ceiling that needs attention to. Those are my concerns regarding the West Side High School theater. I want to know about the 3rd graders. I hope that will be addressed today as to how many have failed, how many are retained, and what we're doing to improve the education of our children. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Bruce Curry.
Hello, everyone. First of all, just want to say thank you. Right now, I'm in, actually, it's my second year as the second vice president in NAACP Education for Northwest Indiana. And I'm also the chairman of the Black Male Commission for the city of Gary. And one of the things I want to emphasize is education. And we have an attack on education right now. Next week, we think some of my members and others will be at a national convention in NAACP. The thing I want to just push, and I want to thank the board, the staff, everyone, push enrollment. Enrollment is critical. And I'm saying every day out of your mouth, every second, every time you see a student walking around, a picnic, a family reunion, tell them to roll in the Gary school systems. Right now, if you look at population, 84% African American in Gary. The other population, 10.7% is white, 1.9% is other. But everybody, I'm saying go to South Chicago. We got to build the enrollment of the school. And the reason why is basically for funding. The other thing you want to communicate to the community is with this attack on education, how do we make up the funds? Talk about that early and be upfront. Again, when we all started young, parents are very love education. So if we have to just step it up, and I have to say, bring on another tax, something for our kids, we got to say it up front. We don't need to hold back, but we got to be proactive on these education issues right now because it's up to us to educate our kids. We can't wait on federal, we can't wait on state, we got to do it here in Gary. The other thing is, and I call it making up the gap. The other item is just, I heard the pool, that's important, but it's also important for safety, because right now, African American kids are dying at a very high rate for, we can't swim. We just don't have no pools. So just make it important and make it a pool issue, a safety issue, not an issue around, we need a pool because it costs too much. It's about safety, and we need the kids knowing how to swim. So the only thing I say is keep doing what you're doing, the staff, the board, the superintendent. When you leave out of here, you should be trying to roll a student. Every second. I got 22 seconds, get your student enrolled. Make phone calls. We don't need all this, I hate to say charter and private. Charter, and I'm a public school person. I'll be honest. That's why I came through. So we need one school in Gary. Thank you.
Lucy Sadowski.
Hello, that's Sad Lowson. They call it Happy Lowsons in our family, but it's Sad Lowson. I wanted to reiterate and go back to last board meeting. I had mentioned about after school programs. Then they announced they were going to have open house, and I went to all the open houses of the schools I could go. One school, they were not happy we were there. She wasn't ready. The place was a mess, and they told us to leave. But the other schools were glad we were there, and I did ask at every school if they had an after-school program. Now, I'm afraid that there might be a miscommunication. I don't mean after-school program as far as the sports. I know we do that well, and I know that they support that. I'm talking about after-school in that instead of students that maybe would be having problems, instead of them just going home and sitting on their iPad or their devices and wasting 3 hours until someone gets home that can feed them, if there could be an opportunity for them to have tutoring, either in reading or in math or in the basics or help with their homework, a problem like that. I grew up in New York City and I went to public school there, and we always had an opportunity. The teachers, I don't know if they actually brought tutors in. I know in my public school the teachers just took turns, and different ones would stay extra and help students with their homework, help them with their math, help them with their reading. We know we have a problem with the reading. We know we have a problem with the math. And of course, it's all about the kids. The sports is great. These are great, hopefully we will get a pool, but they need to know how to read, they need to know their math, they need to have great basis. We have smart, intelligent children who can grow into excellent contributors to the city, contributors to the nation, contributors to themselves. But they have to learn, and if they need help, that's the after-school program I was talking about. Otherwise, I did enjoy seeing the schools, and I didn't get to go inside of West Side, so I'm hoping maybe to see that in one of the events. Thank you.
L. Dunham.
Good evening. I can't stop smiling. I'm extremely excited about our PR and our campaign to bring more students to Gary Public School System, as I told Ms. Woody. I also wanted to concur with what Mr. Curry stated. And another thing that I don't hear us talking about are drugs. I say this because I have a young relative that took something that she thought was candy. She thought it was Pebbles candy, and it was not Pebbles candy. I also understand that they have some gummies that look like candy. So when my children were in school, they had this program, Just Say No, but they also talked to the children about it. I'm sure we're doing that, but I just want to make sure that we stay focused on the fact that that's out there too. The candy that is not really candy. And again, I say I'm just excited about the way we are working with the PR. And I did speak with our superintendent at the latest event with Ms. Caesar. And I've been seeing billboards. I saw the commercial on Channel 7, and I'm just excited. And I want us to let the charter schools know, because our money has to go to them because they're still Gary Public School System. They're still considered a part of Gary School System, even though they're charter schools. But I just want them to know that when they leave the 8th grade, we have high school with degree teachers. We want the parents to know that you're looking for a school that has teachers with degrees, that has programs that can help to further your child's education. Gary School System is a place to come. And I like what I'm seeing.
Amanda, and I believe it's Bailey.
Hello, good evening to the board. My name is Amanda Bates Barnes. I am the director for the special projects at Northwest Indiana Lighthouse Charter Schools. And we are here today to express support for action item 6.5, specifically in relation to the establishment of the school-based health center. I commend the board and administration for the thoughtful and rigorous vetting process that has taken place in this important community initiative. I would like to voice my full support for Edgewater Health's proposal. Our organization has partnered with Edgewater Health on a number of impactful projects. Just to mention a few, with our recent grant with Indiana Division of Mental Health and Addiction, DMHA, and our Indiana Department of Education grant. Together we have developed and implemented many innovative mental health programs and wellness and resilience programs, not only for our student staff, but for our parents, such as our parent circles and so forth. Edgewater's commitment to a holistic community-centered care aligns not only with our mission, but the community's mission. And I'm confident that their involvement in this project will continue to strengthen overall well-being for not just only one, but for all of this community. Thank you for your time and dedication.
We're going to move on our agenda to item number 5, consent agenda.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion for items 5.1 through 5.7.
There's a motion on the floor to entertain agenda items 5.1 through 5.7. Is there a second for the motion?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions on the motion on the table? May we have roll call for approval, please?
Sure, Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Dr. Woods.
Yes.
Dr. McLeod.
Yes.
And I say yes. Chairman Suggs?
Yes.
All right. 5-0.
With a vote of 5 yes and 0 against, the motion carries for consent agenda item number 5. Moving on to action items number 6. Ms. Sikovich.
Good evening, board members, community at large. Dr. Stokes, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. In our first agenda item, the request to approve proximity learning. I think Chelsea mentioned it, and this is going to be a common theme tonight. You know, we're hiring. However, we also know that there's a massive teacher shortage, and we have always done a wonderful job within our school district in making sure that we have the best that we can find in our qualified adults who are sitting in front of our children, who are teaching our children on a daily basis. However, we also know that the way that we're going to move the needle in this district is to make sure that there's high quality instruction provided for from licensed teachers who have gone through the necessary education background to learn pedagogy, to learn scope and sequence, to learn all of the things that have been researched to know to be able to move that needle from an academic perspective. So I'm going to introduce some representatives from Proximity Learning who are going to talk this evening about an opportunity, if you so choose to approve this contract, to support licensed teachers within our schools in our classrooms that will also be supported by classroom facilitators to support classroom management. And I'm going to again turn the floor over to the Proximity Learning representatives, Mr. Michael Robinson and Ms. Michelle Walter.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Michael Robinson. Trusted aide and assistant, Michelle Walter, my colleague. I just really want to talk to you. I know I only have 5 minutes, but we want to help you in your problem here that you have Gary Public Schools. Let me pull this up a little bit. Okay, so you're facing a teacher shortage. This teacher is a national teacher shortage from California, Hawaii, all the way to the Virgin Islands. And I'm happy to say that our organization works with Hawaii, works with the Virgin Islands, works with Chicago Public Schools. We also work with Kansas City, Kansas Schools. One of our largest clients is Shelby County, Memphis City Schools. We actually put 100 teachers there, and I'm going to just take you slow. So don't feel like you're in this by yourself. There is an opportunity for you. And I tell people right off the bat, the first and best solution is if you can get a state certified teacher to come to your district. But when you're down 600,000 teachers nationwide, that may not necessarily happen. So you have to have different arrows in your quiver. All right? So this is my team, of course, me, Dr. Riley Allison is our Director of Special Education, Michelle Walter, who's my right-hand person. She's a strategy executive, and if we do work with you, she'll be working with you very closely, and myself and Dr. Allison, and then the rest of our team. Purpose, this is the agenda. Let me just go a little bit further. I'm just going to go here. Brief history of proximity. We just didn't start this. We actually started in 2009, way before the pandemic. And I know when people have synchronous instruction, when you're doing it in the pandemic, it was really rough. We actually service over 500,000 students, And all of our teachers have their state certification. So when I bring a teacher to this district, and you need a teacher for physics, they are going to have a certification in physics from the state of Indiana. I'm going to say that again. They're going to have their certification from the state of Indiana in the respective area that they cover.
There are universities that are
We'll take
closing
it
their
in
schools of
City.
education because
Yeah, whatever
individuals
city.
are not going into the field. Now we add the specialized areas, it just isn't taking place. I knew as we continue to talk about teacher shortages, I knew I had a solution and a partner that would be able to come in and support our district. When we looked at the need, not only a district need, but an international need around teacher shortages.
Oh, sorry.
There are universities that are closing their school of education because individuals are not going into the field. Now we add the specialized areas, it just isn't taking place. I knew as we continue to talk about teacher shortages, I knew I had a solution and a partner that would be able to come in and support our district. When we looked at the need, not only a district need, but an international need around teacher shortage.
Oh, shoot. Okay, can you just pause right there for just 1 second? I just want to talk about that Kansas City, Kansas. They have 25,000 student district. I have been working with them for 4 or 5 years. Dr. Judith Campbell, who's deputy superintendent, you know Dr. Stubb, she's actually moving to District 211, Palatine, which is Illinois, but I've worked with them for a long time. This is a middle school Spanish class at Lincoln School District 156 in Calumet City. So this is what it actually looks like.
Excelente, con tu hermana en la casa, with your sister at home. Muy bien, gracias. Señor Héctor Ramírez.
Me gusta patinar con mi hermano en el parque.
Muy bien, patinar con tu hermano en el parque. Uy, qué divertido. All of you guys love to do really fun things. I love it. Okay, Marcia, or Marcia, perdón.
Me gusta correr en la valle con mi hermano. Me gusta patinar con los amigos.
Qué bueno, te gusta patinar con tus amigos. ¿Dónde te gusta patinar con tus amigos, Juana? Ah, el parque. Bien, excelente. Okay.
So that's what a proximity classroom looks like in Spanish. You can see that the students are engaged, facilitator, basically modeling what the teacher needs to happen in the classroom. And also that teacher is very engaging and had a beautiful rapport with their students. One of the things I just wanted to show you real quick is, in God We Trust, all of us bring data. This is the data from Memphis Shelby County Schools. We had 10,000 students in this sample set. This was actually done by Chicago State's Education Department. What's highlighted on the yellow side score in Tennessee, every student has to take an ELC test, which is generated by the state. If you notice, like, for this go all the way down to algebra, you see that the 298.44, that was the mean score for the proximity teacher, and the non-proximity teacher is 277.40. I just want to tease out one fact, how Gary Public Schools is very similar to Shelby, have a number of teachers on emergency license teachers who may not necessarily have all of the expertise and the pedagogy and the content to actually teach those respective classes. That's what I believe happened here. But with proximity, you will get a state certified teacher who understands the content. The other thing is, we just did the growth data for January to May, and as you can see, look at Algebra 1. There was a 35% growth. And that's really what education is all about, is growing students and getting them where they go. But if you don't have a certified teacher in front of them, and you just have someone as a substitute, they may not know the content they're doing. So I'm going to stop there because I know that I have went well over my time. But what I want to say is we really want to work with you and help you in this particular situation. Thank you. Sure.
I want to give the board an opportunity to ask questions, but I also wanted to bring a couple of other points to the forefront. Mr. Robinson mentioned that many school districts are utilizing what we call emergency permitted teachers to be in front of our children. This is my second year coming into the Gary Community School Corporation as the Chief Human Resources Officer. And when I started here on August 9th of 2024, we started with 1/3 of our teaching staff with emergency permits. We value those teachers. We value what they're doing with going back to school, getting that necessary education so that they have the pedagogy, the scope and sequence, and the skills that would be necessary to teach our students. However, we are at a point now where many of our emergency permitted teachers are not going to be able to be renewed because they've been under an emergency permit for a number of years. So we need a backup. We would prefer to have someone who already has the expertise, albeit maybe on screen, and then utilize a classroom facilitator to make sure that there are classroom management expectations put into play, making sure that there's troubleshooting from a technology perspective, making sure that our students, if they have a question and the teacher who is online might not be able to get to that student immediately, there will be a classroom facilitator who is following along with the teacher, who has that pedagogy, who has that scope and sequence. And it could possibly be that those same teachers who are still in school, who are trying to get that actual license, they could be those classroom facilitators if they are unable to be renewed. And then what better coach will they have other than a live teacher, albeit maybe via a virtual means, that will be an actual model for what that pedagogy looks like, what that scope and sequence looks like. I mentioned when I started, we are hiring. And I think that Mr. Robinson and Ms. Walters stated at the very beginning that the ultimate goal is to have a live licensed teacher in front of our students. But the reality is we might not get there. And so these lovely people and this lovely organization has provided the flexibility that if we are not there at the start of the school year, they're here for us for that backup. Again, that's that flexibility that this organization is also providing for. This is not the only organization that we looked at in order to speculate on this possibility. But again, we can't keep doing the same thing that we've been doing for 7 years, which is starting staff in our classrooms that are not fully licensed. And not that we don't appreciate our emergency permitted teachers. Please understand, we are going to do everything in our power to bring back those emergency permitted teachers if they have the necessary credentials to do so. But this is a backup to make sure that our students are going to get what they need, which is high quality instruction.
Any questions?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Robinson. Appreciate the presentation. Just a couple questions for myself. In regards to the learning ratio between the online teacher and the classroom, what type of ratio in relationship with that online personnel have with students there at the school?
Let Ms. Walters answer the question.
And you might want to have Dr. Treadwell come up, because some of that is guided by our curriculum department. So if you come up, you may need help, sis.
I was going to speak from a proximity standpoint. It would only be the students that they enroll. All of the teachers within the contract that we're discussing would be full day with Gary. So the people that they're live streaming to will only be the Gary classroom, according to how many students that Dr. Trevor places in those classes, no more than 30.
And that teacher would be there the full class period that student was there. We wouldn't be relying on anyone else beyond.
Correct. That teacher would be there just as the person who would come in person from 8 to 3:15. They would be their teacher streaming into each of those sections of school.
They would also be required to go to our professional development sessions. They are essentially one of our teachers. So if we have PD, they have to go. If we have, the different sessions that support, they have to go. So.
Another question, as an example in your demonstration here, technology is going to be a big issue here. What type of redundancy would we have or would we need as a school corporation to ensure that our technology matches the technology that you have so we wouldn't have blackouts or missed opportunities?
Okay, so basically everything is in the cloud. As long as you have internet connection, you just need a laptop, usually a one-to-one like a Chromebook, and most Chromebooks have a camera inside of it. A large screen at the front so that the teacher can be projected there, and headphones if necessary, but we also have this thing called a boom mic that we sit in the middle, and it's just like you're at a conference and talking to the person that actually gets it.
I was also going to add a bit for any of the platforms that we use to be whitelisted already to technology so that they would be able to go through and approve the different interactive content so that they will also have access to those. We also include in onboard walkthroughs for the students to have visually, like click here, depending on what the implementation would be. Skyward Clever that shows the kids how to log in to make that time of getting on and off their devices very seamless. And we create plans prior to school year starting with the teacher and the facilitator of what it looks like if the internet is down, what are we doing then? So all of those things are intentionally thought through, just like sub plans would if you were going to be out of the building.
I'd like to open the floor up to the board if there's any other additional questions or thoughts. Yes, sir.
Well, so I just wanted to state that I actually was at a district that was using proximity. And one thing that I can say is that it's not like the teacher and facilitator just meet that day. They actually get together and go over the lesson plan ahead of time. And so it's that actually it works very well. I haven't seen it in action. I can say I definitely like the outcomes that were created from that.
Dr. Trevor, do you have anything you want to add? I know this is your department.
So what I would add is that I think it's a very unique opportunity given what's at stake, right? Like we are really trying to drive academic outcomes and improvement for all of our students. And as Joe said earlier, what we know when we have teachers that don't have the credentials, the pedagogy, the support, the college background, there's a huge gap, and oftentimes they're learning with their students. And so we can partner with an organization that can support us in this journey. I think about every board meeting where you're like, where's the data? How are we going to get there, right? This is one of the ways that we can get there. We know high quality teachers make the difference. And so this is just one partnership that will get us on the right track to improving the academic outcomes, but really making sure that Gary is where it's supposed to be in the years to come.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Board, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Proximity Learning.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the relationship with Gary Community Schools and Proximity Learning. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval, please?
Sure, Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Dr. Woods,
Yes.
Dr. McLeod,
Yes.
Chairman Suggs,
Yes.
and I say yes, the vote is 5-0.
With a vote of 5-0, the motion carries. Thank you. I'd like to move on to item number 6.1, please.
Did I mention that we're hiring?
Thank you.
We're hiring. So this next board agenda item is specifically to request the temporary authority for Superintendent Dr. Stokes to be able to approve staff recommendations for hire on a temporary basis. The school board would then give the authority to Dr. Stokes in order to ensure that before the start date of school, August 4th is the first day for our teachers, and our next board meeting is after that date. So without this given authority that is supported through Indiana Code, which allows for the school board to delegate the authority, you the governing body, to another individual, we are asking that you delegate the authority for Dr. Stokes on a temporary basis to approve hires so that we can assure the start of the school year has as great of a flow that we can have and seamless as it could possibly be.
Thank you. Any questions on the temporary authority for Dr. Stokes? Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Been moved and properly second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval, please?
Sure, Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Dr. Woods,
Yes.
Dr. McLeod,
Yes.
I say yes, and Chairman Suggs,
Yes.
the vote is 5-0.
With a vote of 5-0, the authority for Superintendent Stokes to have approval, temporary approval of hire as an approval. Number 6.3, Dr. Treadwell.
Good evening again, board members, Dr. Stokes, members of the community. At this time, I'm requesting approval for 220 Youth Leadership to partner with the Gary Community School Corporation to support us again with some academic gaps that we're looking to support our students with. As you know, there's a new graduation requirement on the table, and many of our students will need access to additional graduation supports, such as
Personal finance.
thanks, personal finance, communications, and a host of others. And so 220 Youth Leadership is an organization that can work alongside our teachers within Westside, as well as our elementary schools, to ensure that our students have access to the mandatory curriculums that we have to have. So I'm asking for approval.
So essentially, I just want to add to that. Essentially, the 220 is actually curriculum that we're asking for the board to support. In light of the new graduation requirements, we needed to get started with our 8th graders who are now freshmen, and some of those requirements are new, meaning we didn't actually have full curriculum to support. So this is curriculum, a program that can give kids even some dual credits to get them started on their journey so that when graduation day arrives, they are ready.
Thank you. Any questions on 220 leadership curriculum from the board? Hearing no questions, may we have roll call for approval, please?
Mr. Suggs,
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Woods,
Yes.
Dr. McLeod,
Yes.
and I say yes, the vote is 5-0.
With a vote of 5-0, item number 6.3 on our agenda, 220 Youth Leadership curriculum has been approved.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Six.
Chairman, so
Yes.
was there an actual motion?
Yes. It was moved in second. Action item number 6.4, Ms. Adams. Ms. Dixon.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Stokes, and community members. My name is Jamila Adams, and I am the Assistant Director of Curriculum and Assessment, and I have the pleasure to come before you today to discuss some of the updates that we've made to our community handbook and student code of conduct. So just to give you a little bit of information, the handbook and the student code of conduct are where parents, staff, and students alike can find all of the information pertinent to our district, from attendance to immunizations, to safety protocols and curriculum, and so much more. And so this handbook is updated yearly, and when there's new legislation from the state. And so this is just another iteration that we have worked on. But I will be focusing on the behavior aspect of the handbook. So we have come up with a new behavior matrix. We are continuing to move the district toward a more restorative approach. And when we're talking about restorative practices, we are talking about focusing on building those relationships and repairing harm, as opposed to just providing consequences for our students. And some of the key points I want to go over is that we worked on this behavior matrix collaboratively across the district. We had representatives from our high school principal all the way down to our pre-K principal, so we had all grade levels represented. We also had district staff, and we did a 4-session focus group to get this matrix done. Another thing that we did was we created separate matrices for pre-K through 2nd, 3rd through 8th, and 9th through 12, and you all do have those in your folders. And then we worked on making sure that the interventions and consequences were age appropriate and restorative versus just punitive. And we also used a progressive discipline model so that the consequences escalated with repeated infractions, as opposed to us just going straight to suspension or expulsion. Lastly, this new behavior matrix directly aligns to our multi-tier system of support framework. And when we say MTSS, or multi-tier system of support, we're talking about the fact that at tier 1, we have supports that every student gets, so it's universal. At tier 2, we have those targeted interventions, or those targeted supports, and then at tier 3, we have intensive intervention. So you can look at it as all, some, and few. But since we're going into our first full school year as a new leadership team, we've already taken quite a few steps, and there's a lot of information on here, but we've done training to continue to shift mindsets at our district. We can't just create the behavior matrix and update the handbook without shifting those mindsets. So some of the things that we've done, we've had restorative conversation training for a host of stakeholders in our district. The keynote at our parent conference was around what is restorative justice, so even our families were able to get that information. We had a 4-day restorative circle training at the district, and then we just recently, at the end of June, had a 4-day leadership institute for our administrators, our principals, and assistant principals. Coming up at the end of this month, we have a 2-day teacher institute, and then on August 4th, all of our staff will be together. And they will be getting restorative practices training as well. And those are some of our pictures. I wanted to just point out a couple of things with the behavior matrix. This is actually what it looks like. And as you can see, I wanted to make mention that although we are moving as a district toward a more restorative approach, there will be circumstances where suspension or expulsion will be the first route of action. And so in our behavior matrices, we created a group level system, with group 1 being minor disruptions and group 7 being extreme safety threats. And so when we get to those higher group levels, yes, there will be some suspensions and expulsions. But as a first step for everything, we go the restorative route. So as you can see, speaking of that progressive discipline model, we have a first incident, then a second incident, and then a third plus incident. And they escalate, but we never want to start with the most punitive consequences. Another thing I want to point out is that for pre-K through second, we understand that these are formative years. We understand that these are babies and they are learning to do school. They don't know how to behave in school initially, and so this is something that they are being taught and trained. And so instead of having available interventions and consequences as we do for 3rd through 12th, we have interventions and support strategies. It's our job to teach them how what behavior in school looks like. So you'll also see on pre-K through second that there are observable examples, so any adult working with our students knows what they should be looking for, as well as initial adult response, what that first point of contact, what they should do as an adult, and then we have those interventions and support that we can use as opposed to punitive discipline. And we have been putting together some pieces. So another piece of the puzzle that we are using to ensure that we're moving toward a more restorative culture is our district-wide behavior expectations. And because we are Cougars, the acronym is PAWS, and that just stands for we want all of our students to be prepared, accountable, wise, and supportive. This is across our district, but I do want to mention that we have given our administrators at our leadership retreat that we had last month the autonomy to take PAWS and script out what that will look like in the different common areas, lunchroom, recess at their individual schools. But it'll all tie back to those district behavior expectations. And we also created a bullying fact sheet for parents. A lot of folks don't know what bullying actually is, and so we wanted to make sure that it was clear what bullying is, what bullying is not for our families, the types of bullying and what they can do if they suspect bullying. And then we also created a new bullying complaint form in the handbook that coincides with this. And parents can report if they feel like students are being bullied, but students can also self-report for themselves or a peer. So those were a couple of pieces that we wanted to add in as we move toward a more restorative culture. And before I hand it over to Ms. Dixon, did you all have any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
Were there any parents or students involved in this process, or is this the point where parents and students may have had an opportunity to review or interject?
So for the behavior matrix, you mean? No, so for the behavior matrix, we opened it up to school staff, so all staff, not just principals, deans, counselors. It was opened up to everybody that we meet in professional learning communities. And so the ones that did sign up were the ones that you saw on the screen. But we did not have a parent focus group or the behavior matrix.
Thank you.
I do have a question as well. When it comes to restorative justice, I know a lot of times an incident happens and it's approached a certain way. What are we doing as a district to be proactive in terms of alleviating some issues?
So in addition to training for our staff so that they are more restorative minded, we are also working on our counselors. That'll be a group that'll be getting training this year consistently every month around how to hold circles, deal with student issues. There'll be training around, there'll be a new crisis manual that we'll be working on. And then we also we've worked with our special populations department, who's going to be getting some training for the school psychologist. We have teacher training, administrator training.
I think Dr. Terrell was going to add, but I think he's going to culture, and she can talk about what we're doing for culture and climate.
So we have a laser-like focus this year to ensure that day one, we coined it in our Leadership Institute, day 1 to day 180, that we have a strong culture and climate. And so we sat with our school leaders first to really outline what is an effective culture and climate, like what components should be at play, what should the setup look like from bell to bell, because oftentimes there's space in the day where student misbehavior is more frequent because there's not a system in place. So we spent more than a day talking about the things that must be in place to ensure that safety is the #1 priority, right? I shared with them that learning cannot happen in chaos. And so we have to really think about what systems and structures we're putting within our school building, but also training our teachers, which I'll talk a little bit about later. What does that look like in the classroom, right? So we put safeguards from the time they walk in the building. What does it look like in the lunchroom? What does it look like in the gym? And so we gave principals the training first to really level set for them how to establish that. And then from there, throughout the year, they're gonna get ongoing support on how to check and balance. Are we doing the right thing? How are we analyzing this data? What pivots do we need to make day in and day out? Because I said to them, if something is broken in the school, it's a system issue, right? And so we have to look at, take a step back and evaluate, where can we adjust from the admin level, but then bring the teachers along that journey with them, because everyone has a responsibility to keep students safe. And so that's proactive, is thinking about it in advance, putting a plan in place, executing. But then once we realize this plan is not working, not just keeping it going, really taking a step back. Additionally, the month of September, Ms. Adams is going to be walking with every school leader to do a culture and climate walk, because we would have taken the first month or so of school to evaluate, put these things in place. Now let's take a look and see if it's working. If it's not, we don't want to wait till December to pivot. We're going to pivot as soon as September to make some changes to that culture and climate. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does, thank you.
I'd like to ask a question in regards to the bullying fact sheet. Is that, for one, is that a sheet that's electronically generated? Is that generated by the parent? Can the student generate it? Give me some details on how that process.
So you're talking about the bullying complaint form?
Yes.
So it is in the back of the handbook, and so it's already there. And yes, a parent can take that complaint form if they feel like their child is being bullied. A student also has access to that complaint form if they feel like they themselves are being bullied or if their peers are being bullied.
And where does the form go?
So the form will go to the Student Services Department, which is Ms. Dixon, and she'll be up next. But it will go to the Student Services Department because then an investigation, right, the principal as well, because then an investigation would need to be launched to determine if it actually is bullying.
Is there a timetable that we have to respond?
Yes. Ms. Dixon is
With the new legislation, Indiana Code actually dictates things we have to do, and there's even been added components where you can't just investigate, you have to actually notify both parties about whether it was actually bullying or something else, and then what's the school district's plan to support.
And there is a section about bullying in the handbook as well, so they have access.
Thank you.
It's a handbook online also.
So it will, once it gets approved, the new one will be put online.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be online.
Yeah, so.
And I'll add too, one of the things that we're asking principals to do at the beginning of the school year is to really disaggregate this with their staff so that everyone is really clear about these definitions, what we're naming, what we're expecting, so that we're all on the same page. As Ms. Adams said earlier, everyone can have a different definition of bullying. So we want to level set. So the kid will say, they looked at me, that's bullying. Well, let's work on having a conversation around that, what was really happening, and that's where restorative conversations come in and restorative practices come in, because oftentimes we just don't know, and so we want to make sure that everyone has a unilateral definition for what bullying is and is not, and then make sure that the supports are there so that we can support our students best.
I just want to circle back for a moment to Dr. McLeod's initial question about engagement and what stakeholders were engaged in the review of the handbook, whether it's parents and students. And I thought I heard the determination was it was not students. Is there a rationale or reason why students weren't included in the process?
Not a rationale, and it's not too late, to be honest. I think at the time of the year when this was going on, it was towards the end of the school year. And actually we did ask for students to be at the table. There was from the high school specifically. And one of the things we're working on is really increasing that engagement and what it looks like to come to the table, to have your voice heard. We do have some students that are very boisterous, but oftentimes when it's time to sit down and actually do the work, we don't always find that people want to come. And as Ms. Adams said, we did it district-wide and said, hey, come one, come all. We want to hear what you have to say about this, because we heard the complaints about it, so we wanted to fix it with all of our stakeholders. And so after today, and one of the lines that's in the handbook, that this can be updated throughout the year. So it's not a lost opportunity for us to bring it back to our family groups. Ms. Adams meets with our stakeholders once a month, and we can bring it to the table there. We're also asking schools to launch parent advisory councils. And so we're really trying to find avenues where we get parents to the school to create this space so that we can start the conversation.
And I just want to clarify that I'm not saying I'm an advocate for the engagement, but I just want to be prepared to talk with community leaders and parents or students of why things happen the way they did.
Absolutely, that's a great point.
Yes, and I think one of the keys is in most situations when you're trying to do something that's related to Indiana code, there are some parameters around what we can and cannot do in a school environment. Once we get kind of the baseline, as we said about our parent advisory groups, then we can take this and we can have parents talk about how this is being supported from their perspective in the home environment, and then collaborate with us about how things go on in the school environment. Because I will tell you from my experience, you will have many parents who say, well, how do you get this to occur in your building and it's not occurring at home? And then we can help them as well.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the board?
I'll turn it over to Ms. Dixon.
Before I turn it over, I just wanted to let you all know that we're hiring.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Stokes and community members. My name is Ms. Ferguson, Antoinette Ferguson Dixon, and I serve as the Director of Student Services. Thank you for the opportunity again, board, of course, to come before you and give you more updates. Our superintendent talks about the Indiana Code, and the legislators have been busy. So there are two areas I want to talk to you about this evening. One of them being attendance policies, and the other instruction on human sexuality. Senate Bill 482. It expands truancy intervention to older students. Previously, board, if you remember last year, we were required to meet with parents of chronically absent students for K-6. Now the law has added 7 through 12. So that is all of our students in our districts that unfortunately become a part of that population.
And I do want to add, even though last year the law only required K through 6, we were proactive and we had a boots on the ground person, Mr. Cook, who was charged with meeting with our secondary students. So we didn't even want to wait. We felt like it was important, K-12, and so we are ahead of the curve.
Yes, we are. Thank you, Dr. Stokes. Under the leadership of our fabulous superintendent, that was one of the things she wanted plans for all students. And we do have attendance improvement plans. And recently that plan has been updated and added with rigor. And what will happen in this process? The Bill 482 defines chronic absenteeism as being absent 10% of the school year, regardless of whether it's excused or unexcused. I'll say that again, regardless of whether it is excused or unexcused, because as our superintendent says, teaching and learning is the thing. If you're absent regardless, you can't learn and you can't be taught. So this presents an opportunity that we will have to conference with students K through 12 now, when they have made that 5th absence. They're headed toward being chronically absent. So it's proactive, and we will meet with them, and we have 10 instructional days after that 5th absence. That's different from previously. It was 5 days after. Now we have 10 days because, of course, you're addressing an entire population of the school district. Now this presents an opportunity for us to intervene early. Prevention and behaviors. You hear about restoration or restorative approaches. Attendance is also restorative. We are here to support families and apply restorative approaches to address root causes of absenteeism before they reach that 10 days. And I'm excited about that, being proactive. Now the second area I want to talk to you about is Senate Bill 442. This will bring changes to instruction on human sexuality under this bill. It requires that the board approves all those learning materials that are associated with this for grades 4 through 12. It also mandates that they are posted publicly on our school's website. Even information like the gender of the instructor and whether the class is co-ed. Now, in this instruction, it requires that things like consent to sexual activity and human growth and development during pregnancy are addressed, and things such as sexually transmitted infections, or STIs as they are now properly called. Now, in this bill, the parent must give consent, 442, prior to this instruction taking place. Now, if the students are of legal age, 18, or emancipated, they can give consent to themselves. And that consent will be attached to an electronic form that gives all the information about the curriculum we're using. Now, this instruction takes place at the high school level here in Gary in the health education class. And our curriculum that we use is an online curriculum, and it's UNESCO. And that stands for the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, and FLASH. It's a combination of those two. And this can be found in our parent section of the website. And it is there, and it will be posted and available thanks to Crystal O'Brien. And now, at this time, I respectfully petition the board for your consideration and approval of the updated Community Handbook and Student Code of Conduct, which you will find in your folders in its entirety. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration and attention. Are there any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Just for clarification.
Yes.
The parents have to sign off?
Yes.
On
the consent form for the human, before they have the human sexuality instruction in the health ed class.
So we'll be proactive. We won't try to, we're not gonna have you sign it today and do it tomorrow. It's, a lot of districts will put it in the information at registration. And, once the board approves, and part of our policy is about some curriculum materials. Parents can check it out if they want to, if they've got questions. Some parents will say, I don't want my kid to be a part of it. And we need to know that in time to be able to give an alternative solution for that child and an alternative assignment so that they can actually still receive a grade.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions from the board? I will entertain a motion for the request for approval for the Student Community Handbook update.
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion on the table? Hearing no discussion, may we have roll call for approval, please?
Yes, Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Dr. Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
President Suggs?
Yes.
And I say yes, the vote is 5-0.
With a vote of 5 yes and 0 against, the approval of the updated student handbook has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, board. And one last important piece of information. We are hiring.
Number 6.5 on the action items. Ms. Bitch again, please.
Good evening again, board members, Dr. Stokes, and community at large. There's a saying, it takes a village. We can't lift this alone. It takes a community, and we are very appreciative of every community partner that we have. So the next request for the approval of our school-based health center was very difficult in making a determination for which recommendation we would like to present to the board. Because again, we appreciate all of our community partners. The school board had an opportunity to hear from a few of those community partners in the hopes that we would be fully informed about all options that we have for a school-based health center that would be able to operate from our school grounds. After careful consideration, we are asking the board to approve Edgewater Health to be the community partner for that school-based health center that will be supporting our students, our staff, and our community for both medical and mental health needs. Edgewater Health has been providing services to our district for decades, and they have been doing so from a mental health perspective. So it's a seamless transition, and not only is it a seamless transition, but we also see it to be a cost savings because with their already involvement with the Gary Community School Corporation from the day treatment facility option, we feel as though it could also support our students prior to the possible need for a day treatment facility option if we have that mental and medical health option on campus. So I do respectfully request that the board approve Edgewater Health to be our school-based health center. I also have Dr. Karen Bishop Morris, who is here in attendance today, should the board have any additional questions before they make their determination.
Thank you for the recommendation. I'd like to ask the board if they have any questions on request number 6.5, school-based health center, and the recommendation of Edgewater Health. Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion on the recommendation.
Make a motion that we approve item 6.5, request for Edgewater Health.
There's a motion on the floor. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion on this motion? I just want to emphasize that being the selected provider is one of our members' work opportunities. We will recuse from the vote Dr. Woods. Beyond that, we can go to roll call for approval.
Yes, Chairman Suggs,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Dr. McLeod,
Yes.
and I say yes. The vote is 4-0 with one abstention. Dr. Woods.
With a vote of 4 yes, 0 no, and 1 abstention, the motion carries. Thank you. Edgewater is our school-based health center.
Typically, President Suggs, if the Edgewater rep person is here, we typically like them to come up and just say something for a few moments.
Certainly fine with me.
Our great partners, we love you, but if you could keep it to under 2 minutes, that would be great.
We'll do it. Good evening to the board, Dr. Stokes, and to the community. Thank you so much for this vote. This is really a vote, not just for Edgewater, but it's really a vote for integrated health. And so, as the slide shows, this is an amazing opportunity for us to continue and expand our partnership. The health piece is so important for all of the reasons that have really been the topic of conversation this evening. When I think about improving access to care, when I think about what this school-based health clinic will do in terms of early intervention and prevention, which has a direct correlation to Ms. Dixon's plea for a reduction in absenteeism, I know that this is really a strong step forward, and we look forward to making this step together. So thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Browning, Chief Medical Officer at Edgewater. I'd just like to thank the board for this opportunity on behalf of Edgewater. I think that we'll be able to deliver comprehensive primary care and behavioral health services to our youth.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? We appreciate you being here. Thank you.
And your fire.
Item 6.6 on our agenda, approval of the adult and student fees.
Good evening, Gary Community School Board members, Dr. Stokes, and community members. Part of our processes and procedures every school year will be to request approval of either student fees or lunch fees or a la carte items. So you'll notice in your packets that I've included several memos in regards to these. The first one is student meal. Of course, we are CEP, so all students receive free breakfast and free lunch. If they want a second breakfast or second lunch, this is federal and state pricing that we have to charge because we cannot request reimbursement. So I'm requesting those student meal prices. And then also for the adult meals, I want to point out that we are offering delicious, healthy meals for a very inexpensive rate of breakfast for $3 and $6 for adult. So we encourage all staff to come to our cafeterias, get a healthy meal. These prices are within line with federal and state guidelines. The adult meals will help sustain our food service fund as well.
And I need to interject.
You go for it.
The adult meal is not free.
The adult meal is not free.
There's no free first meal for the adults.
That is correct. And then the a la carte items, I do not have a full list of a la carte items yet. I will be working with Chartwells on that, but adults or students will also be able to, purchase, Rice Krispie treats, drinks, things of that nature, healthy foods, of course, for different ranges of prices. And I will actually have that on the website once I sit down with Chartwells and we go through the list.
So just for clarification there, are the drinks included in the first meal for the student?
The milk is always included, and then we always have water for them as well, should they choose to have water.
Thank you.
Sure. And then we have our technology fees. Now, I do want to read one thing to you. It's Indiana Code 20-26-12-1. And what it means, I'm gonna put it a little bit differently. Schools must provide curricular materials at no cost to students. Curricular materials means things like textbooks, workbooks, and core instructional content required by the school's curriculum. Schools, however, can charge a fee if a student loses or significantly damages those curricular materials. So that's what this is in regards to. Of course, this is at Dr. Stokes' discretion as well. Sometimes we have accidents that happen with students, truly an accident, and that's Dr.'s discretion if she wanted to charge that student. But I do need these prices approved. These prices are the actual prices that we pay for, and we get discounted prices for those equipment. I'm requesting approval of the fees for the student fees and for the lunch fees.
Thank you for your request. Are there any questions from members of the board? Hearing no requests, I'll entertain a motion for approval, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion on the motion? May we have roll call for approval, please?
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Dr. Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
I say yes, and Chairman Suggs?
Yes, please.
The vote is 5-0.
With a vote of 5-0, the request for approval of the fee scale and the a la carte prices as well as the replacement costs have been approved.
Thank you. And did I mention we're hiring?
I'm sorry. Let's move on to item number 7 on our agenda.
Thank you, board members, Dr. Stokes and community, for allowing me to talk so much tonight, so I'm going to make this very brief. Again, we've talked a lot about our community partnerships, and so one of the things that we wanted to make sure we acknowledged and updated you on was this awesome community partnership with the wonderful city of Gary. We want to thank Mayor Melton for his collaboration with Dr. Stokes with bringing together a flagship mission called Summer Passports. Summer Passports was an opportunity for our students to participate in enrichment programs from kindergarten through 12th grades. Those programs were held both at at the Glen Park Academy and at Westside Leadership Academy. The start was awesome, and it grew and it fluctuated, and all of our students had an opportunity to do some of the things that you see here in the pictures. We did collapse some of the programs based on attendance. Again, it would grow, it would wane, and after the 4th of July holiday, many of our secondary students, in preparation of starting school in a few short weeks, decided that coming to school more wasn't something that they were interested in at this point. So we did collapse the Westside Leadership Opportunity. However, we did have one student who was an 8th grader who was excited about everything that she was doing, and her younger brothers and sisters were going to Glen Park Academy, and she wanted to continue. So she actually is boarding the bus every day, still going to Glen Park Academy, and she is a peer mentor to our students at Glen Park Academy and doing all of the wonderful things, again, that you see between art, dance, and gym. So thank you to the city of Gary, thank you to Mayor Melton, and thank you to Dr. Stokes for supporting this mission, and also thank you to the curriculum and assessment team, because without them, this would not have happened.
In a short time.
And
I do want to add that at the K-6 level, it was open to all Gary community students, not just students who go to Gary community schools, but any student who lives in Gary. So we opened it up to all, but at our secondary, it was only for only for our students.
Yes, and again, Glen Park Academy is still going. We still have buses that are running, bringing our students. We also have parents who are dropping their children off and engaged in meaningful activities on a daily basis.
Thank you for the update on the Summer Passport program. Are there any questions from the board members? Thank you.
Did I mention we're hiring?
Yes. Thank you. Item number 8.1, please.
So the theme tonight has been community partnerships, but the other theme tonight is, did we mention we're hiring? So if everybody could stand up in the audience and show off these t-shirts that we have on. Show them off, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank Dr. Stokes. She wears a lot of hats. So she has been a PR person, she has been in human resources, and when we were talking about what we could do to really push this hiring season, she mentioned, well, what about if we all wore t-shirts, and maybe if it had like some communication on the back that we could wear it out in the community, and everywhere that we go, we talk about the fact that we're hiring. So there's a QR code on the back of our t-shirts right now that any person can use their cell phone, or the website is there as well, and it could take you directly to our website, and specifically to AppleTrack, which is our platform used for recruiting and hiring, where you can apply directly. We're hiring for teachers. Even though we approved proximity learning, again, the main goal is to attract live, highly qualified, licensed teachers to be in our classroom. So just because we partnered with proximity learning, that does not mean we are stopping our efforts with finding high quality teachers to be in front of our students live. However, if we can't get there, we've also posted for classroom facilitators, so that in the event we do need a proximity teacher to support that instruction, that high quality instruction online, we still are going to have those classroom facilitators within our classrooms for management, technology troubleshooting, communication needs, and making sure that students get grouped or whatever other questions they might have when the online teacher might not be able to get to them immediately. I don't want to waste any more of your time to talk about the fact that we're hiring, but that is the gist of the Human Resources report.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you. Item 8.2, financial update, please.
Did I mention we're hiring? I promise I won't do it. I want to give a fun presentation like that, other than numbers, but financial updates. So I really wanted to have June completed today, but unfortunately, I did not have enough time. And with the Form 9 and everything, we wanted to make sure everything was correct. So I'm presenting your May financials today. So of course, this first is our major fund expenses as of the end of May. As you can see in the education fund, we have a remaining budget balance of 58%. So we are right on target. I do want to point out that if you notice in May, under salaries and wages, and benefits. So May, we distributed that second stipend that Mr. Razor had approved back in 2024. So we had to pay that out at the end of May. So I just wanted to, because it looks like, wow, we paid out that much money, but it was due to the stipend. Other than that, the referendum fund, every month we transfer $100,000 out of the referendum fund into the operations fund, into the education fund, my apologies, and then $700,000 into the operations fund. And this helps support the things that the referendum was approved for. That would be balancing the budget. That would be for security. That would be for all the extracurricular activities, such as the transportation, things like that. So that we're sitting at, we actually have 62% remaining. In the operations fund, again, you'll notice that we had a large amount distributed in salary and wages and benefits. And again, that was for staff for that second stipend payout. And we are actually at 62% of available for our operations budget. So right now in the month of May, we are sustaining. We are sustaining with each of our major funds. And here is just a breakdown of the education fund. To the right, you'll notice I just listed our year-to-date expenses, our total budget, and I've included our transfer because we have in our budget, we have $8 million that we can transfer into here. So I've included that into this amount. But as you can see again, I've done a little percentages for you. 58% is remaining. We've totally spent 43% of the budget. And then I've kind of listed each of the months on what our expenses have been. Next month I will probably, because this might be a little too loud as a pie chart, so I may do it a little bit different for you. Unless you like it like this. So, however you guys want to see the numbers. Okay, sure. And then here is a breakdown, again, of the education fund, listed a little bit more in detail of our expenses. I did want to point out that, again, our salaries for May were $3,699,000, benefits $1 million. I have estimated, and I adjust our June.
Was May a 3-month pay, a 3-week kind of pay? What was May?
May was the stipend, the stipend payout. Our next 3 pay month is in October. which, as you can see, I have adjusted that to reflect. But I do adjust these as numbers come in to, you know, depending on what's going on. So I do have a projected ending balance at the end of the year, but of course I adjust this as needed. But as you can see, our cash balance at the month of May was $20,008,000. And all of the board members have a schedule of balance within their documents that they can look at all of the funds. And then we have the operations fund, and here is just another breakdown of that percentage. Our remaining balance is 62%. Our expenses year to date, 38%. And then again, I've listed each of the months through May. And then here is just a year to date tally. Budget is at $21,939,000. I will tell you in the operations fund, and I think I say this actually every month, I am monitoring the transportation costs. We go out for an RFP after this next school year, but we are actually working diligently right now to figure out how to save money on transportation, because we have double routes. We pay overtime routes because there is a 52-mile radius with the buses. We have trains, things of that nature.
So can I speak to that
sure,
for a moment?
Sure.
So one of the things that we are bound right now with is the contract that was set in place before by our predecessors. And in that contract, if we go over certain time frames, we have to pay overtime.
5 hours.
And unfortunately, because of trains, you know, we are a city on trains, we often go over, which means we have to then spend money, and there's no way around it. We tried to talk about it, but it's contractual, and so we have to pay it.
So with this next school year, we're trying to figure out rerouting buses or how to, you know, combine them, make them a kind of a triple route where we're not charged for every single trip. We're at a stopping point. So we are working on that. And First Student is working with us. Unfortunately, the contract, the rate for this next school year goes up. And it's in the contract. But we are going out for an RFP. And then here is just a breakdown, a little more detail of the May expenses. Our cash balance at the end of May was $7,553,000. And then I have estimated and I've adjusted some of the property tax that we receive in the operations fund and the debt fund. And I will speak about the debt fund. I estimated our cash balance at the end of the budget year in December to be $5,391,000. And here again, here's the referendum fund. Just so you can see, May, we have a cash balance of $3,482,000. I've estimated at the end of the budget year, $6,451,000. Of course, that is depending on what property tax we receive in December. I will, of course, request an early tax draw in November. And I will be watching this diligently, just in case in the debt fund, if we do need to do a tax anticipation warrant, you know, with requesting what has been collected at the first part of the year, I may do that. And here's just a breakdown of the referendum fund. 62% of the budget is remaining. Transfers consist of so far of $4 million, and our total budget for the referendum was $10,000,005. So here's the debt fund. I requested an early tax draw in May. I have released These are actual numbers in June, even though I don't have a June update for you. I did update this one specifically because I wanted to make sure you knew that I made a transfer from the operations fund to the debt fund to cover the deficit. We had a deficit of $862,000, and that was due to not receiving all of the property tax money that we anticipated we were going to receive. In the budget, it was written in that we would receive about 77%. We really only received 56%. Now, what I want to share with you is that, and I talked about this in a previous meeting, we had to start paying back our common school loans in January. So what IDOE does is they deduct those common school loans from our basic grant. And then what we do is we transfer the money from debt back into the education fund. So our debt fund was sitting $862,000 in a negative. We are allowed to use operations money, this is with legal, to transfer money from the operations fund as long as it can support the debt fund. So I've moved that money to make it zero, but I do have to tell you that I do feel in December we will probably have the same issue. So I have adjusted what we're going to receive in November and December to reflect that. So I may also have to make another transfer in December.
So to not be in this situation, we have to make an appeal to make sure we can figure out ways to get the property tax in. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
Would a successful recruiting impact this? Could we impact it by increasing numbers, student body, student count?
This is all property tax based.
I understand, but could we?
Well, if we recruit more students, it does help with the education fund. But what she's saying is if we go ahead, Linda.
Okay, if I transfer money out of the education fund, that should be student-based money and only used on students. It cannot support the debt or the operations.
So then we have to put it back, which she took.
That is correct. That is correct. So I am starting to work on the 2026 budget. I will make sure, based on my evaluation of maybe the last few years on what we've received in property tax money, and I will adjust those numbers to reflect a lower percentage than what was anticipated. It wasn't a wrong decision. It was you don't know what you're going to get. You really don't, and it's based on a rate. The debt, we receive it at 0.46. It's based on our net assessed value. And then it's kind of I would probably gauge a little bit lower in the percentage moving forward, but 56%, that's where we're at. So the good thing is we have the cash to support it right now. But there's many things that have to be looked at, and that's why I say transportation. We spend $6 million on transportation costs. And I have kind of looked at it, and it looks like I'm going to have to request an additional appropriation for operations because of transportation, because the cost is so excessive.
Just for clarity, I've had some people say, well, why do we have to have so much transportation? How large are we in here? We can't expect students to get to school if they don't have a way to get here without actually giving them transportation. We have been working with Mrs. Dillard to find ways that perhaps city transportation can support us if kids miss the school bus. Because as you all just heard, absenteeism matters and it doesn't matter why. So we're trying to figure out ways that if our scholars miss the school bus, how can we then get them to school? So everything is circular and everything is connected. But we do need to figure out a way to reduce transportation costs, but at the same time, we have to have transportation. So I said all this to say the answer is to that we do away with it. We can't do that.
No, we can't.
So, the question about transportation, do you have an idea of what percentage of capacity we are on a particular bus? As we look to increase, are we going to have to increase the number of buses? Or?
And that is one of the areas we're looking at, because some of the buses, maybe it's a 44 passenger bus and it has 12 students on it. We are trying to consolidate some of that. Mr. Garcia, my transportation director, is here.
Before he speaks though, as much as we're trying to consolidate, what I don't want people to hear is that kids are going to be on the bus for 2 hours, because we don't want that either.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Superintendent. Right now in the high school and the junior high, the buses are packed. They're full. They are full.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So you had said that it was based on net assessed value.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just explain the difference between the net assessed value and the property values? Because see, people are saying, look, housing prices in the area are skyrocketing. So how come we aren't collecting more in taxes?
And actually, I brought my paper with me too, just so I had all the numbers here. So our net assessed value is $2,263,889,000. And we have a levy of $10,454,640. So when the budget was actually put in and approved, we estimated our property tax to be collected as $8,886,355,000. Now, that $10,174,000 is cash and revenues is what they're saying we should have and be able to pay our debt. But our debt actually, for the debt that is owed for that budget cycle, was actually $11,327,000.
And understand that this was a budget that was set, prior to our arrival, but we have to follow it because it's been put into the gateway system and approved by the state.
That is correct. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there questions from board members? I just have one question. I thank you for the transparency and clarity of your report. I would ask one additional favor, and I love this chart.
Sure.
But I would love to see year over year going forward, just to see the differences, what we're doing as we go through this next year at this time. I'd just like to see where those costs are going. And
of course.
If there's any trends that we should be responding to.
Yeah.
And could you include in that tax collection receipts?
Of course. Most definitely. Yes. Yeah. We only receive a small portion of our property tax money, which, we're working with it though. We're going to figure it out.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Item 8.3 on our agenda, Dr. Treadwell, academic support update.
Good evening again, board members, Dr. Stokes, and the community. I am Dr. Cynthia Treadwell, the Chief Academic Officer for the Gary Community School Corporation. And of course, they say the best for last, right? All right, let's go ahead and dig in. So, it has been a pleasure this last year really watching the trends, trying to figure out the button that I want to hit perfect. Watching the trends of how our data is moving forward. And so I wanted to bring our end of the year data before you and walk through it, to talk a little bit about it, and definitely open for questions at the end or as we go through it. And so I wanted to start with one of the assessments that our students have taken throughout this entire school year. So because of our status as a district, the state mandates, and I've mentioned this in one of my last presentations, many of the assessments that we must take. And so DIBELS was one of those assessments, which is the dynamic indicator of basic early literacy skills. And what this assessment does, it was used for two reasons. One, as a district, we had to have an assessment that could tell us if we had students that may have characteristics of dyslexia. And so this assessment was able to give us that information. I am pleased to say that we didn't have any of our students that showed characteristics of dyslexia. Although the data would say they're at risk, no one after further assessment had characteristics of dyslexia. And so what you're looking at, and you do have this data in your packet, is when they take DIBELS, it does assess the 5 core components of literacy, which is also known as the science of reading. So phonics, fluency, comprehension, vocabulary, and phonemic awareness. And so there are 4 categories that students can be identified as: well below, at grade level, or at proficiency or above proficiency. So those are the 4. So I'm going to talk about well below and then at or above proficiency for DIBELS. So what you see here is our beginning of the year assessment data as well as the end of the year in a comparison. And so again, they take this assessment 3 times a year: beginning of the year, middle of the year, and the end of the year. Now within those benchmarking assessment windows, students are progress monitored to see how they're progressing on their lowest skill. So remember the 5 skills that I mentioned, we would work with the teachers, identify the lowest skill, and then they are progress monitored at a certain cadence depending on how they're identified on their level. And so just to kind of point out this data, what you see is at the beginning of the year, we had a large percent of our students identified as well below. And when they tested at the end of the year, that number decreased dramatically. And I won't read all of the numbers, you have it in front of you, but just so you can kind of point out from our kindergarten through 4th grade, many of those students, we saw a decrease in the students identified as well below. And that's great information because what it tells us is that the instruction that they are receiving at that early literacy level is showing improvement with helping them gain the skills that they need to be successful, right? And so some of the things that this test assesses is letter naming fluency. So really a student's ability to see a letter, name what it is. Another thing that it assesses is letter sound correlation. So I see a letter, I know it's A, I can also tell you the sound of that letter. Then it moves to connected text, where students actually have to read text. And so it moves along this trajectory. And so we want to see students moving out of that well below category, because what it does is it tells us that with high quality instruction, we can really get to students being on grade level. Next in your packet, you have students that were identified as at or above proficiency. Again, these are the last 2 identifiers when we look at DIBELS. So at the beginning of the year, we had a smaller percentage of our students identified across all of our grade levels at or above proficiency. And when we think about at or above proficiency, that is at grade level. So for kindergarten, there's benchmarks, 5th grade, there's benchmarks, and so on and so forth. So we had a smaller percentage of our students in all of our grades that were at or above proficiency. As you look at the end of the year, we see that number increases across all of our grade levels. And while it's not yet at 50% or 75%, we see growth, which is a trend in the right direction, that we see kids moving along those levels, okay? So that is our DIBELS. So we looked at well below and then at or above proficiency. Now, on average, again, we want to see anywhere from 75% to 80% of our students at or above proficiency. and that well below number to be extremely low as well. We're starting somewhere and we're moving in the right direction. Next in your packet, and this brings me great excitement, because I think when I presented last time, our number was definitely not 246. I want to say it was about 140. But between March and June, remember we had additional testing windows for IRE3. I am so proud to say that 71% of our scholars will be promoted to the 4th grade. Now, you ask, why am I excited? So yes, there is a new legislation and law that if students do not pass, they are retained. And if this law was enacted on last year, the data was only about 45% of those students would have been promoted to the 4th grade. Let me say that again. Last year, this law was enacted, only 45% of those students would have been promoted. This year, we have 71% of our scholars that have been promoted, that will be promoted to the 4th grade.
And I have to interject. I gave Dr. Treadwell a challenge. She and I are both competitive people. And I said, can you get me 70% at least? And she gave me 71%.
Come on, y'all can do better than that. It was hard work, and I will say our teachers took on the challenge. Our coaches got in those buildings, began to work with students one-on-one in small groups. And so what we've learned this year from this data point is that small group instruction is the key to our success, right? When we do whole group instruction, it loses some of our students, right? And so we realize that when we can really meet their individual needs, that we will see more of our students on grade level and ready to move to the next phase. So I'm really proud of this data.
Dr. Treadwell, does this number reflect students who were remediated during summer school?
Yes, this is all of our 3rd grade students. Yes. So with that, we know that there will be some students that are retained, and so what I will share with you on this slide is while we see a number of students across all of our elementary schools that will be retained, what I wanted to make sure you saw was the total number of grade 3 students in their school in correlation to the number of students that were actually retained. So many of them have extremely low numbers. In most cases, those students will fold into a class that they're currently in with the teachers that are in the building to ensure that by the end of next year, this number decreases and we don't see an increase in the students needing to be retained. Now, we do have a plan that we have to enact to make sure that they are on track to being promoted in the next year. And so, by the Indiana Code, we do have to ensure that every student that is going to be retained has what is called an individualized learning plan. Now, this is not a plan that is going to be written in a back office and then the teacher just implements. We're going to invite the parents to the table because we need that partnership. Because what we do in school, we need them to support at home. And it's going to encourage conversations on a regular basis. And it will not be a plan that we will write in August and then we won't touch it again until the testing. Every 5 weeks, we're going to come back to the table using our MTSS framework to talk about the progress of these students, looking at their data and really course correcting along the way so that we can catch them early and get them on track to making sure that by the time they take IRE3 in March again, we have students that are ready to go to summer school. That is really our goal. So we're going to use this plan. We're going to partner with the principals. I'm going to be, as Dr. Stokes likes to say, in the weeds of these plans and really holding the principal's feet to the fire about making sure that high quality instruction is happening in the class, as well as small group instruction, and that we're meeting the needs of every student in the classroom. What I also wanted to share with you was our iLearn data, which just came out July 1st. What I do want to note here is that we didn't get here overnight, okay? There has been years of what I would like to call instructional neglect that may have impacted this data along with other variables that might be out of the locus of control of the school, attendance, transition, truancy, all of those pieces. And so I do want to highlight that we do see growth when we look at this data. Might be small, it might be incremental, right? But it's moving in the opposite direction, right? We're not increasing the percentages of students that are below. We're increasing at and above proficiency, which is great. But I do want to reiterate, we didn't get here overnight, but with strategic plans and support, high quality instruction, curriculum, professional development, support, before school, after school, tutoring, all of those things. We're gonna continue to see this data change because we realize that this is the only way we're going to continue to serve the district. And so math and literacy will be our focus. And as Joe shared earlier, in many of our middle schools, when we look at this data, and our elementary schools, some of the teachers might not yet have the credentials to really move the needle on this data. And so we're gonna continue providing high quality professional development to build their capacity. What you see here in our math proficiency, again, is similar data. We see schools that are holding steady, meaning they didn't necessarily decrease, they didn't have increase, they're holding steady. But we do have some that are moving in 4 to 5% gains in 1 year, which is great. And while there are challenges that they've had, whether it's been personnel, attendance, teacher support, we are moving in the right direction with our iLearn data. We're going to continue in that vein. But I did want to highlight, you've heard me say this multiple times, and I do want to show you that we're standing behind what we're saying. We know the only way to change practice is to build capacity, right? We do not want to leave to chance that you have pre-service education support, but that might be the last time that you've been in a classroom. And so we're going to provide ongoing professional development. In a few short weeks, we have about 90 teachers that have already signed up to come in for 2 days of training. It repeats on another 2 days. Really spending time. It's 9 to 3, so they're getting up right before school comes back to sit with us in the academic department to really work on high quality tier 1 planning and support. Again, you see that differentiation, small group instruction. But you mentioned something earlier, and we know that this is impactful to what happens in the classroom, that proactive support. So we're going to spend some time looking at the cultural climate of the classroom and getting training on classroom management. And so Ms. Adams is actually going to be trained, and she's bringing that training right back to our teachers so that they have strategies to support students when they have behavioral needs so that we can really make sure that we can get back to instruction. So
and I speculate that if a board member would be interested in coming, we could discuss that.
Absolutely, please come. Yes. So, any questions, comments, or feedback that you would like to share regarding this data?
I want to thank you for the data and also the year-over-year comparison so that we can see whether or not there's some traction and some growth going. And I'm really looking forward to next year to see with the additional support if we can get some additional growth at the different schools. I did notice that some schools were trending more, that they had a little loss as opposed to growth. So we'll see what that looks like as well. Thank you for it.
And as Dr. Stokes said, I like a good challenge. So I accept your challenge to continue to improve this data, and we're going to keep working. We have a plan, and we're going to work our thing. So thank you.
Any additional questions, board members, comments? Thank you, Dr. Trevor.
Thank you.
Move on to item number 9 on.
Did I tell you though? We're hiring.
Item number 9, board communications. I'd like to open the floor to board members. Any comments?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
just one clarification. Are parents able to go to any school and register their child, or is all registration for all schools taking place at Westside?
Parents can go to any school they want to go to and register their child, but please be clear, I don't want your kindergartner being registered in high school, so just make sure we know what school you're registered in. It's a joke, I'm just picking.
Okay, exceptional case. Yes. Thank you.
Any additional comments? I want to pass this flyer along to board members. Dr. Stokes, will you take one and pass it along? I'm proud to announce our mayor, Eddie Melton, has created this year a celebration called the 2300 Jackson Street Block Party on August 29th and 30th. And I wanted to highlight that Gary Community Schools is a gold sponsor of this event for some of our in-kind services by allowing the use of our Roosevelt property. But I'm excited about this. We're going to have Dr. McLeod Jackie and Marlon in town. And some other celebrities, including Denise Williams and Chris Tucker. So I'd like to celebrate our Jackson family this weekend. Any other board comments and communications? Dr. Stokes, let's move to item number 10 on our agenda.
All right, thank you. So, for matters of corporation interest, Krista, I want to talk to you about summer graduation. We are having a July 17th day at 1:00 p.m. at Westside Leadership Academy. We want to support our students who are summer graduates. We think that it is so important that it might only be 10 or 12 of them, but it is very important that we give them the same outgoings that we gave to all of our other scholars. So for the first time in our history, we are having a summer graduation. We invite anybody out who's willing to come, and we will celebrate the 10 or 12 students who will be crossing the stage. So you are welcome to come, and it will be live streamed if you cannot attend. Also, I want to remind us that it is July, and our next board meeting will occur after. Notice I said after school has started. With that being said, I want to give a shout out to our community to tell you that we cannot wait for you to come back, to welcome you back. And with that being said, we want you to know the first day of school is Thursday, August what?
7th.
The 7th. Let's say it again. Thursday, August what?
7th.
The 7th. We did not say after Labor Day. We did not say in September. As you just heard, attendance is important. We need our scholars to start Thursday, August the 7th, and we look forward to seeing you there. And we will see you at some of the activities that are occurring this summer. And if you need anything before that time, feel free to call us. But with that, enjoy the rest of your summer. We'll see you August the 7th, and I'll turn it back over after I share our draft agenda. And typically, it is the normal agenda that we have. I do want to say we will have more items with policy under action items, and we will probably give you a recap of our graduation session and some of the back-to-school activities that we're having. And of course, we want to celebrate and share what happens our first day of school. With that, I'll turn it back over.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes. I'd like to open up the floor to the board for a motion to adjourn. So moved. There's a motion on the floor. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your attendance. Appreciate the